Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I want to talk about Netflix's The Night Agent. And before I go into the review, if this is your first time on my channel, please subscribe to this channel for more contents like this. Thank you very much. Let's get into the video. The Night Agent is a film about an FBI agent that works nights at the White House. Then one day receives a call and the call throws his life into chaos. I don't say too much about the plot because part of the film is watching the plot unravel. So that's just what I'll say about it. And speaking of the plot is very, very intricate, very, very detailed, and there are so many stories that are happening, so many stories, and the way the stories come together and just come and form a whole story was so, so good. When they were telling the story of different characters and how they're relating with their own world, I wasn't really invested in it. I didn't really connect to the story because it felt like they were telling too many stories at once. But when all the stories started coming together and just forming and coming and becoming a whole mass, it just got me so excited, and the story got more interesting and more exciting the deeper it got. And it was just like, wow, okay, these people knew what they were doing right from start with the way they told their story. And I just felt like I should have calmed down for this film. I shouldn't have started judging the way I was judging, because from the first 5 episodes I was like, why are they telling so many stories? Focus on one story and just do something now. But the stories just start coming together and everything just start making sense. I was like, oh wow, very, very good. From episode 6 to the final episode to the episode 10 was like, wow, I could not look away from my screen, because that was when it was getting really exciting and the plot was getting more and more thick, and the story was just getting more intense and more exciting from episode 6. And man, they really did a fantastic job setting it up so we could experience the whole story as a whole. And man, I really, really appreciated it. I'm not the biggest fan of FBI and CIA movies or movies dealing with conspiracy theories. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But man, I was so into this movie. Like, I wanted to know how deep the conspiracy went and how deep the story was. And this, honestly, they did not let me down. They didn't disappoint with the story. I've seen movies like this before. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I've seen movies like this before. And it always feels like these movies always have like a particular formula that they always follow. But this film, the way they did it, like they were following the formula, yes, but it also felt fresh. It felt different. I was like, this series is a story, it's a kind of story we've seen so many times before, but it is so fresh. That's something new to it, and it was so good. And the dialogue, like I said, this kind of movies always have like a particular formula, and the dialogues are always a kind of way. But the dialogue in this film was surprisingly very, very good. I found myself enjoying the characters and listening to what they were saying. Like, sometimes they weren't even talking about the conspiracy of it all, but just hearing the characters talk to each other and saying things was like, wow, I didn't expect I was going to get this kind of dialogue from this kind of show. And it was so fulfilling hearing what the characters were saying. Speaking of the characters, I love what they did with telling the story of all the characters. Like, they could have easily made the bad guys like mindless machines, mindless people that just kill people. But no, they didn't. They told the stories of the bad guys also. Like, they spent a considerable time with the bad guys. So even if you don't like them, you could just spend time with them and hear them talking. And the way they just talk fascinates you and it just makes you get more into the story. Like, I didn't expect them to spend as much time as they did with the bad guys. It's this kind of movies, like I said, they have a particular formula. This kind of movies always just talk about the good guys and what the good guys are trying to prevent. But these people also talked about the bad guys. They focused on the bad guys, and I'll just focus on the life of the bad guys. And it was just fascinating to me because you have seen everybody's story. And when the good guys and bad guys come together, some people might like the good guys more and some people might like the bad guys. So when they come together, you just have this kind of conflict within your mind, like, oh, what's going to happen now? I like these characters. Is this something going to happen? And it just creates more confusion and conflict in your mind and makes the story much more intense. And it is so well done. It kind of reminded me about Game of Thrones, how Game of Thrones focuses on every character, told story of different characters, the good characters and the bad characters. They tell everybody's story. So when there is a conflict that these characters you like are getting head to head to each other, it creates much more conflict in your mind, and you're just so on the edge of your seat and panicking, and it's so intense. And they did it so well. There was a sequence where the main good guys and the bad guys fought, and that sequence really blew my mind because it was like a 2-on-1 fight scene, and that fight scene was amazing. It was like the most realistic 2-on-1 fight scene I have ever seen. Let me talk more about it. A man and a woman are the good guys, and they're fighting with this man who's a bad guy. So a man and a woman against this man, and it's a 2-on-1 fight. And the way they were fighting was so realistic. Like, that is how a 2-on-1 fight is going to go. Anytime it happens, that is how it's going to go. When you know if something goes wrong, you are going to die. That is exactly how the fight was going to play out. And that fight scene was so intense, it was so exciting. It left me on edge with my seat. I was like, yes, I was cheering so much watching that fight scene. It was like, damn, I enjoyed that fight scene so much. They did that kind of fight scene one more time, and it was also very, very good. Like I said, this kind of movies always have a particular formula, and you always expect a fight sequence between some characters. But when that fight sequence comes, they made it feel fresh with the 2-on-1 thing, and the way it played out was just so brilliant. Like, I found myself cheering so much during the fight sequence. I enjoyed it so much. Like, I've shared this thing to my friends. I feel like Americans don't know how to shoot fight sequences as good as Asian countries do. But man, the way they filmed this fight sequence and the way it was shot and the choreography of it all was so brilliant, and it made me really, really enjoy the fight sequence and the story as a whole. And the performances in this film were amazing. Every actor gave it their all. Every single actor acted the shit out of this movie, and just made the film feel so much good and so genuine and so realistic. Man, I didn't think I was going to enjoy this movie as much as I did, but man, I enjoyed it so much. And because I have seen something like this done like a million times before, it didn't make me feel like this thing was going to give me anything new. I didn't even think I was going to talk about this show until I finished watching it, and so like, oh wow, it was so much better than I expected, and I had to talk about it. And man, the filmmakers, the showrunners of this show, they did a fantastic job. Man, honestly, I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I was going to go, especially from episode 6 to episode 10. That was when the story got more intense and much more interesting, and I loved it so much. Have you guys seen The Night Agent? What did you think about it? Comment below and let me know. If this is your first time on my channel, my guy, what are you doing now? Subscribe to this channel and share it to your friends, share it to your family, share it to everybody, share it to everybody you think should check this video out. Help me support your boy. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Cheers.